our panel here.
Welcome! Yay! My first Comic-Con in Rose City, so it's been awesome. I've had it on my radar for many years, and thankfully I have Brandy on my side, and she made it happen, so great. I'm glad you guys showed up.
Yeah, so like the first time we met, we were in Salem and we did another con over there, and that was pretty awesome. So she's like,
A couple years ago, I think it was May of 23.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was my first time in Oregon.
Yeah, it's really epic. It's a big honor having you with us too.
It's an honor and a pleasure. Love I'm an anime mom, so and mom. Anime auntie. So you don't like kiddos, whether you like it or not.
Half of us grew up with you.
That's right. Childhood.
Yeah,
Race. I never made you clean your room, so I was kind of a full babysitter.
So when did you start doing Dragon Ball voices?
So for me, I had already been working in the music industry as a singer with show bands. We worked festivals, parties, weddings, clubs, anything. I started singing as a child, and as a 3-year-old, I fell in love with Donna Summer's voice through disco music. My dad was a disco music guy. My mom was a kind of an easy listen, pop, Neil Diamond type music. So there was one thing we always had was music. We always had a really good stereo. So my pastime was all spent on music, listening to music, singing music, writing songs, poems. I taught myself how to play the piano by ear, then started taking lessons. Got involved in musical theater. Parents lit when I was 6, so it was a very rough childhood moving around, and my mom got married, and we ended up moving every 2 to 3 years, so it was really complicated trying to fit in small towns as the new girl, time and time again. It was never convenient, it was never easy, but it taught me a lot about resilience and following your passion and your dream, even if you're getting bullied over it. It just kind of becomes who you are, and ended up in the DFW area at the end of high school. End of my junior year, we moved again. In retrospect, it wasn't easy, but by being in a large metropolitan area for kind of the first time, it was a good, sounding board for me to get into music at the university. I joined a show band almost immediately, then got an audition for an even bigger one in 1990. So I jumped into a show band in 91. Started traveling the world, singing, performing. It was called Vince Vance and the Nights. We had 3 girl singers. It was a 9-piece band. Right when they got to tour bus. So I'm glad I joined when I did, because otherwise it was vans and shuttle buses. But we did have a lot of breakdowns on the road. But I learned how to, even more outside musical theater, to work with large crowds, and I was so addicted to doing it, even though it didn't pay well. I was there for over 20 years, learning all the showmanship you could imagine, mentoring starlets and bringing in singers when someone would leave for various reasons, and then I just kind of became almost like a choreographer, musical director. During that time, I started singing with other bands out of Dallas. Ray Convo is a Grammy Award-winning polka band. Nadolny is coincidentally Polish. My dad's side's all Polish, so I started singing with them. We did an original album in 1997. From there, I got referred to Chuck E. Cheese and was the voice of Helen the Hen for a season. The voice, the singing voice. I don't know why they weren't the same, but Helen did it. But the singing was what kind of propelled me into anything and all voice acting opportunities. From there, I started working at Jenny Toys, where I would sing songs as various characters in whatever key they were in. So I had to learn how to just be on the spot, figure it out, and try to sound like whether it's a reindeer or a little bunny for Easter. We do a lot of Halloween, novelty voices, Christmas, lots of Christmas, holiday type stuff. They would already have the track done, and I would come in and sing. One of them, my favorite toy that I got to voice was a frog. She had there were 2. There was one with blonde hair and little boxing gloves, and I got to do Britney Spears impression, so it's like, hit me baby one more time, oh baby. And then we did a African American frog with orange hair, big old giant earrings, and she got to do, ooh baby, baby, baby. So it was obviously that Push It song. Yeah, I think that was kind of a 90s song. But anyway, that was fun. And then from there, with the music and working with Ray Combo, Barry Watson was a big fan of Ray Combo. He was actually at the studio when we were recording, and he heard my voice, and he had already been thinking about moving Dragon Ball Z down to Texas, right to work state, no residuals, no royalties, because he was recording everything in Vancouver with the Ocean Dove, and then he already had this going on, and I didn't know any of it, so he asked me if I did voiceover. I told him a little bit about my history, we exchanged information. Sometimes it leads to something, most times it doesn't, but I was in the right place, the right time to get noticed, because I was contacted about 7 or 8 months later to come in 1998 to read for Dragon Ball Z characters. They were going to basically recast the show. I wasn't asked to voice match anything. I didn't have anything to go by other than audition sides. So naturally I auditioned for Bulma, Par, Chi-Chi, and all the female roles. And before I left for the day, it was like American Idol. There were like 3 judges, and I had a panel, and kind of like this actually, like a podium. And before I left, they said, "Can you voice a kid, like a boy, a little boy?" And I just threw out a voice like, "How about this?" And they wanted it raspy, so I gave them a little more rasp, like this. Yeah, just like my daddy. And they liked that voice, and they kind of had me kind of pegged to voice go on, but they wanted to get me to read like one. So I got called about a week later, and Barry Watson said, "I want you to play the voice of Gohan." And I was all excited, and it was a new project for me. It was a kind of new avenue. And then later on, I learned all about anime and the franchise, and over the years how big the franchise already was. That's when my whole entire anime career started. And I was singing in the band in between and just coming in to record when I was needed every few months. It wasn't steady. It was a little more steady when Gohan became a more prominent character in the Cell Saga. About 2 years into it, I started singing animation themes for Funimation for Yu Yu Hakusho. I sang Sayonara Bye Bye, the opening and closing to Kitty Grade, and a couple of themes from Case Closed. I did some for Blue Gender, and then but also brought in other singers and was able to direct them. And I actually had a big part in taking Japanese lyrics and turning them into English, because I had some songwriting capabilities, and that was actually more enlightening than I realized it was going to be. So that just kind of happened naturally because I was working directly with the band musical director from Ray Combo. So that's kind of how it all happened. And now I'm super happy to have been asked back many years later after GT. 16 years later, they called me back to audition for Dragon Ball Daima. I think they wanted to make sure my voice was consistent with the previous work with Dragon Ball. And so that was an honor, and it's great to be out back doing what I love. And Comic-Cons are my main thing. I am working on video games right now for Daima. So that's kind of the history of it. Yeah. There were lots of steps involved.
That must have been like a really exciting day though when we called you out.
It was, because I thought I was just tossed away by, damaged goods or something, I was also going through a lot, trying to start a family, wasn't able to. Lots of destruction, loss, grief, so I was kind of like rebuilding my life from scratch. I lost my mom in '99, right when I was cast as Gohan, and right at the start of my career, right before she was going to be a grandma and live her golden years. So that tripped me up pretty bad. That the grief never goes away. We were very close. So then, I just kind of had to learn how to adapt, like I'd already been kind of doing as a kid, and live in survival mode for a while. But the fans in Toy Animation brought me back, and it really gave me a boost. And it was also a personal and professional comeback, and for that, I'm extremely grateful.
Yeah, because when we had you last, when you were still kind of off.
Yeah.
The limbo of nothing. I was sitting there like, I hope they bring her back, because they really
Right.
need to bring her back to something. And the next thing you know, we got Diamond.
Right.
And then I was like, oh yeah. And then
Yeah.
I sent them messaging back and forth. It's like, oh, such
I
excitement.
have no idea if it's gonna happen. I'm like, I've only just recently heard about it. Funimation was bought by another company and eventually became Crunchyroll, which is now a big studio in Dallas Fort Worth. I'd be there every day if I could. It's extremely competitive. There's a lot of politics involved. Even if you're seasoned and you're easy to work with and all those things, you still are not guaranteed a role. I'm not involved in any casting.
Yeah, there's a lot of voice actors out there.
There's a lot, and there's a whole wave of new voice actors that are up and coming and new, and I've gotten the chance to work with them on Dyna. So it's pretty cool. I feel like I'm in a mentor role like I used to be with singing and dance. And so, I think it's just about, I learned at a young age to share the stage. So if the moment's right, that's great, but of course, anything, we don't always get what we want, but.
So taking on Diamond, what did it feel like when you were just like total focus like through the whole thing? You were just like big focus through the whole thing.
It was like a full circle moment. I really love the way that the comedy and the battles are back for Dyna. It's a whole new adventure, it's a whole new setting. All the voice acting, the characters were turned back into kids, which I thought was hilariously cool and fun. And, just to kind of be back in those shoes and kind of at an angle of obviously already being an adult, but back in a kid's body. So the playfulness is there, the fearlessness, the battles, and the comedy. I learned quickly that Goku now uses a toilet instead of the river. Yeah, he uses toilet paper. I think he washes his hands now. Thanks to Pansy, he has TV. All of that comedy, and it's like, how can you eat all that food and then use a restroom and then you're ready for battle? Like, how can you do that? It's like, that's normal. He loves combat, but he's kind of simplistic that way.
All that energy is so easy.
He does, and it's time to sleep, okay, we sleep. It's like, he doesn't have another outfit, so Pansy makes him take a bath, and he has no other change
You
of
know
clothes.
how smelly it can be?
Yeah, Pansy makes sure he knew it too. You stink, you need your bath. And so there's a fun episode where he gets to wear Pansy's clothes, and of course he was a little hesitant about the old underwear. She's like, no, not the underwear, the t-shirt. Anyway, that's typical Goku, And he's not the smartest dude, but super fun, and he never means anything bad or wrong. He's like, if somebody's not strong enough to beat him, he's just like, you should train on her, It's like, just do what I did, and, you'll get better. So it's really fun. I worked with a completely new director. I don't say he's new in general, but for me, he was a new director, and we had a really good time working together. And a great ADR guy. They were both Dragon Ball Z fans. They've watched it for years. They're in their 30s, and they wanted to get involved in audio and the engineering aspect. So I had a great time with the director. I followed direction, but he gave me a lot of leeway to kind of the lines in my own way, and we just straight out the gate do it how I think I would do it. And if we needed direction, or if it needed more of anything, we would do it again. There's no paper scripts. The studios are much larger. There's no video or photos allowed, which was really hard because I wanted to chronicle everything, not to post, but to keep for later. So it was a very hush-hush thing. I had to sign an NDA, couldn't talk about it for a while, until last October when I was invited out by Toei to New York Comic Con, where it was announced in a giant panel of 3,500 people. And a lot of swag was given out, so that's when Dyna, we could finally talk about it. My voice was in the trailer. So it was a very hush-hush thing, and it was a complete respect out of Toei's wishes for it to be kept under wraps, and so that they could coordinate the release in Japan first, and then we kind of follow behind. And out of respect. So it was great to finally be able to talk about it. I'm meeting a lot of the
the the voice actors for some of the characters. I've done some shows with Walma Mini. Paul Castro is also the Gita Mini. I've done some shows with him. A couple weeks I'll be back with him in Minnesota. We're doing an Anime Wonder together. So it's great. I'm just extremely humble and grateful to be back, and never really choosing to leave. It's just a matter of, your moment will come if you just remain perseverant and determined, and you just keep shining your light with whatever gifts you're given. And I just kind of backed off and believed in that and let it go, and things just kind of finally came around. Yeah.
So I gotta ask, because we all know you a lot too from GT, and it's the whole Super Saiyan 4 thing. What did you feel like?
I loved it. Even before that, we aren't given any info before we show up, which I find, I'm already used to that. I'm used to just jumping in there and we just go for it, especially working for the toy company. It was like rapid fire. Like, okay, now you're a witch. Now you're a kid. You're really scared. It's like, so I was already kind of trained to be rapid fire with direction and coming up with something random on the fly. But we don't know. We just kind of show up and jump in the booth, and you kind of get where you left off. We tried to finish the episode before the end of the session so that you could kind of start fresh with another one. And we don't really watch it either. We don't watch it in its entirety. So we have to kind of rely on direction and the visuals. The cool thing now is we get to hear the Japanese line before we deliver ours, which gives us the timing. We aren't there to mimic anything. It's more about what's going on in the scene, and then we just kind of follow through with how Goku would say this in this situation. And if it has to be bigger, we do it again. A lot of times they'll say the screaming and the toughest, most straining on the voice to the end of the session, which now with computers, it's a lot more efficient. So you'd be surprised how much we can knock out in a couple hours. Usually, sometimes we knock out a whole episode, sometimes two, depending on the line count. Actually, the first real exciting thing was Goku Mini going Super Saiyan 2.
Yeah.
And the first Kamehameha, like that was always like, oh my God. And of course, the director and they were just as excited because they're like, oh, this is what we're working on today. And then of course the Super Saiyan 3.
That was actually really cool.
And then I have to say the highlight was the Super Saiyan 4.
And that's like a part two,
transformation.
because of all the GT stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then we were off the grid.
Right.
And then come back, and then they put Super Saiyan 4 back into the line.
Right.
Pretty much saying Super Saiyan 4 is an actual thing now.
Uh-huh.
So like,
And
wow.
and to not necessarily jump away and do the adult, Super Saiyan 4. They actually kept it in Goku Mini form first.
Yeah, and that was so cool.
It was so cool. And so before I delivered lines for that, Sean Shemmel, who lives in LA now, did his lines, and we hadn't talked in years, but we still had each other's numbers. We were texting back and forth about when we go in, let's get our heads straight, like, how we're gonna, develop this character and make it synonymous, because we are the same character, just two different forms. So, and we were both right on the money as far as what we had planned on doing, with it being much more animalistic, and there's a beast kind of thing going on there, maybe someone growling. So we were on point with that, and thankfully, by coming together ahead of time, we were able to really sink into the same idea as how we were going to do Super Saiyan 4. And so that was really kind of cool.
So did you have any stress moments on your voice in the screams and stuff?
After the years of doing Super Saiyan 2 Gohan in the Cell Saga, no. Not at all. I was like, we'd be done, and I'd be like, is there anything else? Like, you need to tell me when I'm supposed to be. Yeah, because I'm like, okay, so, because I'm reserving some energy, I'm reserving it for the big blast, the end of everything. Like, just recently we did some video games where the diamond characters would be added into some of the existing games. And, at first I was just kind of rolling with the flow, but this last session I did, I was like, you gotta tell me when I can release it all, because I've got it ready. You just tell me when this is
It's
it.
20 years built up with me.
Absolutely, yeah. And you know, just being a singer and a vocalist, I wasn't afraid of literally murdering my throat forever. I mean, I knew I'd be able to recover from it, and I knew how to take care of my voice and all that. So recently I was able to do Super Saiyan 4 in a couple video games, and that was the first time I did dialogue for Super Saiyan 4.
That must have been intense.
So I was like, okay, what are we gonna do now? Because I already finished Dyna. I finished it all in March. And then it started, it was airing every Friday on Crunchyroll. Now it's on Toonami and Hulu, which is super exciting. And I'm hoping at some point the English dub will be added to Netflix. Right now it's the Japanese sub, and then, I'm not sure. Nobody tells us these things. A lot of people
We're
ask.
still waiting, I think we're still waiting for it.
Yeah, and I just wait for it to come out and then, share it or tweet it.
I couldn't help, I had to sit there and watch as it was happening in the Japanese side of it, just get excited.
Of
For
course.
the English dub stuff, because I'm still gonna watch it again, because I still want to listen to you.
Thank you. I know the true diehard fans were ready for it in any capacity. So it's really nice to see the reception and get so much love and welcome, from the fans in Toei, and whether or not so-and-so or whatever director, would rather work with so-and-so, none of that mattered. It was just kind of like, this was meant to be, and I was happy to see, like I said, the newcomers coming in and some of the voices from all these years all along.
Yeah.
And it's a little tidbit of info. I was wondering if they're gonna bring back Laurie Steele for Kid Krillin Mini. The Japanese company, Toei, decided they wanted all new voices for the minis, because some of them were never minis, just, they were never children to start with. And, but Laurie Steele, it was not a direct, diss on her. She actually ended up playing Marva, which is one of the witches, and she did a great job. I noticed her voice immediately. In fact, when I watched that episode, I was like, that's Laurie Steele.
Yeah.
I knew that's Laurie Steele. And so I was really happy that she got to be brought back in a different role. So it wasn't like that she was getting completely knocked out for any real reason. It was just, Toei had a lot of control, and they had a lot of specific guidelines. So that's why it was very hush-hush. We were doing everything by the book, and so that nothing leaked out. The trailer kind of leaked it, because my voice was in the trailer. But thankfully, by that point, it wasn't too far away from New York Comic Con. So at the Comic Con, it was really amazing. They had a giant Goku, like 50 feet high, and it was an inflatable. And they had a Dyna booth, and they had a lot of the new Dyna figurines that I'd never seen before. I was getting recognized. I was walking around like, I didn't think about it. It's like, because people had gone to the panel, and so I went ahead and set up a table while I was there with my good friend Ozzy down in Orlando. He's a great artist, and signed a few autographs, did some interviews, because I finally talk about it. So that's kind of been what it's been like, and to kind of feel like I have a little more relevance, and kind of back in the Comic-Con scene, and doing meet and greets, and staying busy when there was a time in my life where there was literally nothing going on. So it's
Playing for a little something.
yeah, just trying to keep myself together with all of the life things that were being thrown.
Do we want to see if anyone wants to ask any
Yeah.
questions? Okay.
Absolutely.
If you want to, go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have a microphone for you and everything.
Hey.
Hi.
So, first of all, it's an honor to meet you, Stephanie, and also, that's also a really great whiz cosplay, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, my question is, what exactly? Well, first of all, is this your first time in Oregon? And if so, how do you like it so far?
I love it, first of all. I live in Texas, Dallas Fort Worth, where it's hot like half the year, really. And plus I know Brady. So no, my first time in Oregon was a couple years ago, came out to a smaller event in Salem. And yes, it was on my birthday month. I had a blast. And then I did an event in Eugene in May for Toon Fusion. And this, I guess, would be my third time, but my first Rose City. So yeah, everything it's a whole different thing being at an event of this size, and it's always a pleasure. to meet you guys face to face.
Yeah, sometimes I like to call it Rib City Comic Con because I'm a Blazer fan.
That's funny. But Brandy is, if you don't know already, she's the, what would you call yourself as far as with your cosplay group?
I'm the owner of the Z Fighters Worldwide Cosplay Group.
Oh, wow.
It's worldwide, and she's got social media attached to all of that.
I got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have currently almost at 1,000 members worldwide. We work with a lot of wig makers, professionals, stuff. We have one of the biggest collectors of figures and statues is one of our friends too, Philip Fiesta.
Oh yes, I've
He
seen
has
that.
like huge collection, and he is the only one that owns 2 life-size Saiyan pod simulators and a life-size freezer pod, and he just got a time machine.
Oh.
And it is so cute. You can get in it. You can actually get in it.
Oh wow.
It's
What's
so
that,
cool.
life-size Freezer Force jet?
Yes.
Do we need to go back to 1985 like they did in Back to the Future?
At the time, and I bet they will probably figure out how to do a freezer chip.
Yeah, so it's exciting. It's fun for people to come together from anywhere and everywhere with any background and come together on something that they all love. And so she's the reason I'm here. We made it happen. We put our heads together. Just we're gonna make it happen.
Yeah.
Because last year got away from us, and she brought out Mark Britton, who's hilariously funny. And this year it's my turn.
Yeah,
I loved it.
and my group is like almost 5 years old now, and 4 of those years I've had the pleasure of working with several voice actors. Some of them kind of indirect, but direct. We were working through another Comic-Con, and I worked with her, Linda Young. Then we had
Mark Britton.
Dale Kelly.
Oh, Kelly.
Yes.
Okay.
I personally brought out Mark Britton myself, and then brought her out.
Mhm.
And then this year, next April, we're gonna have Elise Bowman.
Mhm.
She's gonna be at Mid-Valley.
Will that be at Mid-Valley? Okay.
Yeah.
Cycle us through.
This is us being fans, and we're just doing what we can do, and it's kind of really amazing to do this, and to actually be able to work with voice actors like this.
Mhm.
It is a lot of work though.
Yeah, because we met back at Command Con down in Dallas Fort Worth. I want to say Command Con 3.
Yeah.
And you were decked out in Goku or one of your
Yeah, I was
furious.
doing it.
We got Diva, and then I found out she was an artist. I do have her artwork on my table. It's amazing.
Most of it's gone now.
Most of it is gone. I tried to pack it up.
Can't keep it on there.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. And then she's made me some buttons, and so we had those available for purchase. So it's just really cool to see creative types of all kinds, whether they're artists or writers or storytellers or actors, voice actors, whatever it is, cosplay. It all comes
Do you
together.
have any other question?
Yeah, this is kind of an interesting one. What would be your favorite controversial but hilarious scene from the original Dragon Ball that couldn't be made in this day and age?
Well, yeah. And what's funny is I had never seen Dragon Ball. Like I'd never seen anything all the way through. Like we just did our scenes and that was it. That's what we were watching. I mean, it was VHS days. So to sit down and watch Dragon Ball for the first time when Daima had come out, I got the Crunchyroll membership, so I could see Daima every Friday. And that's not something I'd ever done before. So in between, while we were waiting, I would start watching Dragon Ball. And there was a lot of controversy, actually. And it was out there, like way more, it pushed the envelope more than me and my manager had realized. We knew all the voice actors, and we had a lot of fun watching it 20 plus years later.
Really, all your kids watch this.
Right. I mean, Dan was more like, this is kind of teenage boy,
Maybe a little
older, or maybe college boys, and it was in its entirety. I know that they had to edit a lot of that, some of that out for TV.
Yeah.
But if they had the VHS that had it, whatever on there. But I just, what really got me was not just Master Roshi, but he goes for more. They can for clothes. And the World Martial Arts Tournament was insane. Bacterium. That was disgusting. Like, I couldn't believe what I was watching. And then, of course, I'm trying to pick out who voiced all these characters. Some of them I can pick out immediately. You know, I knew Pilaf was Chuck Keeper. I knew Meredith was, you know, Lunch. So that was half the fun. And then, like, really seeing where they would push that humor.
Yeah.
It's kind of gross. I mean, it's funny.
Should we get the next person?
Yeah, we don't want to leave anyone out.
Anyways, what's the other signing booth?
Yeah, we'll be back.
We will be, till the end of the con, we will be in the booth, 5:30. So if you haven't been by, check it out, take a pic with us, with them, with the cosplayers.
Okay.
We'll just give you some more questions.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Given some of the more emotional elements of the Dragon Ball narrative, is there a certain aspect of a character or character moment that you felt personally resonated with you?
Absolutely. Specifically, the self-saga when Gohan is being pressured to do what he didn't really want to do, just fight and protect his interests and his friends. Like I said, I had gone through the death of my mother. She was my everything. So when it came time to do the father-son Kameha, I had real life experience to draw from. It's like, why not make something magical out of it? So, I really felt the pain and emotion and got teary-eyed a few times because she was my world. She was my fortress. And really, since then, there's really nobody that can fill that void because your mom, especially if you have a good relationship with your mom, they brought you in the world. So when it came time to really focus on the fact that, Goku, his father, was essentially dead, and he was speaking to him telepathically, that, for me, that was like, my mom was trying to tell me, you can do this, you can get through life without me here, I'm still here. And so I took a spiritual aspect on the whole thing. And so yeah, that resonated. And then being the voice of a little boy that I could never really be in real life, and channel like the kids I knew in school, that was definitely emotionally kind of connecting. So good question.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I actually didn't start watching Dragon Ball until I was like 10 years old, so like 2 years ago. Anyways, did you ever meet Toyotaro? The guy who made the manga?
Yes, the creator or his executive producer.
No, not Mr. Toriyama. His
Yeah, right.
the guy who made the art for Dragon Ball Super Strong.
Yes, I got to meet him at the New York Comic Con last October, and it was mind-blowing what it felt like to be in his presence, being that he was literally like an apprentice to Akira, and then us having just lost Akira in March. The cool thing about it is when they announced officially that I was, back in the scope committee, we have a video of, the big screen, all the people, and then him, the one you're talking about, I need to memorize his name.
Toyotaro.
Taro?
Toyotaro. Toyotaro.
Yeah. He was so excited, he can speak English, but there was a translator, and he was wearing a Dragon Ball Z, the t-shirt that looks like the whole outfit. It was really cute. He got all excited and giddy, so it really made me feel validated when he responded in that way, that whoever made the decision, we want the original boys back for the nostalgia, and to see that reaction was like, I don't have words for that. It's like, wow, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
It just felt really good, and it felt like it was their pocket, and I just kind of fit right in the pocket, So I've never met him, but I've never been to Japan, and I was never able to meet Akira, unfortunately. So, but look where we are because of him. Like, life-changing, legend, legacy, all of that.
Lots of stories to tell in your life.
We wouldn't meet the same people that we've met since this journey started with however we were involved. So I'm just extremely grateful.
If there was like any Dragon Ball character, male or otherwise, any of them from like any arc, any show, any episode, I don't care, who would you want to play the most? Like voice actor.
I really had a lot of fun doing background characters as well. So like I voiced East Kai, you know, I'm the queen, where they go, you know. I think it'd be fun to be like several of the background characters, but literally like have it completely different. Like a lot of people didn't realize I did East Kai, and the only reason I was cast is because it sounded nothing like Goku or Gohan. It would have been kind of fun to voice Frieza. I did audition for Frieza, but I had already been cast as Gohan, and my battle scenes would have been too similar. So it would have been fun to be a villain, because I'm so not a villain, and neither is Linda Young. So, but that's the fun part. You get to
She's such a
be
sweetheart.
something you're not, and to channel that is a challenge for any actor or any voice actor. And for me, I would have been, that's what drives me, is the challenge of it. So I think it'd be fun to just be multiple characters. You know, like Mark Britton played 6 or 7 characters.
Yeah.
They weren't all giant lead roles, but they were all completely different and super fun to voice.
Yeah.
You know, Corey McCann, Berger, Grand Kai, Ox King.
And then now that you actually know the voice actor, then when you go watch the show, you're like, I recognize that voice.
And then you
Yeah,
realize
that's so
that's
cool.
hey,
Oh, there he is again.
it's like, hey, I'm watching Dragon Ball for the first time. Well, you nailed it, man. You know, it's like, it's really cool to see the capabilities.
I was doing the same thing. I was sitting there watching Frieza Saga, and I was sitting there talking to Linda Young. I was sitting there messaging her.
Yeah.
It's really wild.
Yeah, she did a great Frieza for sure. That's like a lot of the OG Dragon Ball ladies. We do some events together on the regular. So it's really cool to bring back the original Bulma, Tiffany Bulmer, Cynthia Krantz, the original Chi-Chi. She's still Chi-Chi though. She's always Chi-Chi. Yeah, she just is. And we've had some events, and we're doing one again in San Antonio next year, Dragon Ball Z ladies, reunion. So it's always fun to kind of get with them.
Yeah.
We all met years ago at cast parties. So,
Do you have anything else?
No, I just want to say that I'm personally on board Goku Black, honestly.
oh.
Anyways, that's all I had to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We meet again, Stephanie.
Hello.
Meet you. So, it really is such a good story for us, funny about when you went through life and everything, especially for your mother's death, because I know that feeling. It's like the same way you did, but especially the time to go on with Goku, explain that. I don't tell me now, maybe you can settle, but.
Right.
So anyways, my question for you, Stephanie, is, what is, it's a Dragon Ball Daima question, so what is even though there are great things like for Super Saiyan 4 transformation, everything else has King Goma, and as Atomic Eevees, what is your favorite moment you did for recording for the season?
I liked the fact that he didn't change all that much, you know, and then the voice, of course, was like right back. But the comedic moments for me were really fun, and the way that there were some nuggets in the show where there's nostalgia and there's stuff you would know immediately if you were a Dragon Ball fan, but there was also new for the new generation where there's you need to put in a PIN code. There's Ned dancing around when he sees the Dragon Ball and starts singing the Dragon Ball theme. It's like, I did Dragon Ball, look out for it. It's like genius. Like that for me, the humor is what's great. But then of course voicing Goku at Super Saiyan 3 and 4 were challenging in their own right. But those were amazing to get back in there and really knock out the battle scenes and really work hard on every line. Every single line was extremely important, whether it's a reaction or a battle scene. And the video game, same thing. So just getting in there and knocking it out and just facing it head on, it's great.
Yeah, most definitely. But my favorite moments are when Gloria comes around, is when Goku say his name wrong each time. That's until we became back to adult, that is.
I don't think he ever got it right. Our favorite scene, maybe at the very end.
Yeah.
Right. But what was fun for me is I came up with a bunch of other ones, and I was trying to kind of like sneak them in, but like not without permission. But there was one that we all loved so much, but Tony took it out, and it was Gordito. And not only is it funny because it's just a funny way to say Gloria, but it's also food in Spanish. And what better word for Goku to say because he's obsessed about food. So we thought it was hilarious. And then being in Texas, we've got, Hispanic people everywhere. I grew up on the border of Mexico. And it was the one that we really wanted to see stay. We had to go in and redo that. But we did gazebo, Galirio, I think we did Gorillo, pilot guy. But Orito did make a resurgence in the video games. So we went with those and put them in as alternates, and so some of those may actually make it to video games. All the directors loved that one, so we didn't want to see that one get next.
Yeah, anytime gets mixed up with those, he goes, it's Glorio.
Right. Still Glorio. It's great. Thank you. You're welcome.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
Welcome to Portland. I hope
Thank
you come
you.
back. So I'm a 33-year-old man of 2 kids. I am, like probably many here in this room, a Tsunami kid. We heard about Tsunami. Your voice is iconic. You, Steve Bloom, Chris the Bad, John Schimmel, I can name drop forever, but iconic voices for our childhood that shaped us for who we are today. So thank you for being here. Thank you for all the work you've done.
I appreciate that.
Of course. And 2 questions for you. First one, because you've been out of the game, so to speak, for a little bit, especially the Funimation drama that happened back in the days. With Daima coming back and everything, were you welcome back with open arms from the Funimation team? I know it's not Funimation anymore, but
Right.
were you welcome back with open arms?
I was welcomed in by the fans, by Sway, and by the people I worked with at Crunchyroll. I didn't necessarily get a congrats. I did get a congrats from Justin Cook. He's always been there. I was there when he was hired, and Sean was happy to have me back, especially after the show had aired and he had a chance to listen, because he's very particular, and that's fine. To get that, and then I really didn't hear much from anybody else. I think everybody's kind of like, we're all so busy doing whatever we're doing now in our own lane. But I did see some of the voice actors from the years ago working on other shows, and everybody seemed to be really happy. And I got a big reception from the Diamond cast, from the minis, and the director was like, come on in, let's do this, I had spoken to everybody. Maybe some of them weren't happy about it, but I can't worry about it. I just wish them well and stay professional,
How many more people do we have there?
Oh, yeah, we only have 9 minutes.
Time.
But thank you for asking, and if you ever have questions, you can always also Instagram me or DM me on Facebook or through my website, and I'll answer your questions.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
Hi, just a quick question. I know you mentioned doing Britney Spears impressions or impressions of different artists. Have you ever thought about it, or were you ever approached for in the same way that people impersonate Elvis or whatever? Have you been approached about Stevie Nicks at all?
There's a band, actually local band in Dallas Fort Worth, that asked me to come out and tour with them, and with the Comic-Cons I actually had to refer somebody out. And she's doing an amazing job. She's got this long curly hair, wears all the outfits. But I've done some tribute bands, and there was one for Pink, and again, the schedule was just conflicting, but we did a lot of parodies and jingles back for radio, and so I would channel Christina Aguilera. I did a Pink parody, the Weird Al thing, we changed lyrics. I got really into that. I would still be doing that to this day if there was a need for it, because I had a lot of fun doing that. I was doing that already back as a kid, changing the lyrics, misheard lyrics. So I do have some parodies and jingles, and they are on my website. I have their entirety, so I'm gonna try to get those put out as soon as possible. So I do like the impressions and changing the lyrics, but also sounding like the original. My Britney one was "Eat your veggies when you dine,"
It's like sausage, tomatoes, carne, potatoes. Eat your veggies when you're done.
It's all about basically making parties.
Can we possibly get the next person, so we can?
Yeah, we don't want to leave anyone out, being done on time.
Hi.
Hi, you'll have to excuse me, I don't do well speaking in front of people. First, I just want to say how much your roles in Dragon Ball have really meant to me as a child. I came from a very broken home, and it meant a lot to me to grow up watching you voice Goku and Gohan and try and live vicariously through them and their big emotional connection towards father figures. And that really meant a lot to me. To make this quick, I guess I'm not super current on my playthrough of Sparking Zero. Are you going to be doing the English dub for Goku Mini in the Diamond games?
I can talk about it, and yes, I'll be smart. Yes!
Well, thank you so much.
It's on its way, it's in production.
Thank you.
We've already voiced it, so look out for that. Legends, Kakarot, Universe 2 have also been released. Yeah.
Okay, so your arm had just been torn recently from almost sacrificing yourself for Vegeta. Vegeta's on the ground, he looks up at you, I'm sorry, Gohan. First time you've ever heard him apologize, probably the only time he's ever apologized in his entire life. Gohan was in your ear saying, you have to fire the Kamehameha wave. Can you just give me one, like, real Kamehameha?
I'm just a kid! I love that line because he doesn't sound like a kid at all.
Let's try to get these on to people.
Hi, very quick question, a silly question. So you're a singer,
Yes.
Stephanie. What would Gohan and Kid Goku's karaoke songs be?
Well, I did write a Christmas song and a Halloween song. They are on my website. They're hilarious. They're actually originals, and I do sing them like Goku and Gohan. Just kidding.
It's Halloween, the night to trick or treat. I'm a little kid, you'll find out on your street. I got a pumpkin, and then I made a costume. I'll be
Crawling out of his tune. And it's just the Halloween rocks. It's the best holiday. And then I did all the little other voices, and I did the little girl voices, and have some fun with that. So.
Hi, I'll try to make this one as quick as possible myself. So you said that there are other characters that you wanted to voice, right? Is there any other characters that you've never voiced that you just kind of mentally click with?
Oh, that's easy. Little Mermaid, Jay Benson. That's a dream role for me. If I ever got a role like that where I would sing and voice the character, that would be a dream.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll ever happen. It won't be that one, obviously. She didn't do any job. It's been done. But something where I could sing and voice the character would be a dream. So I'm always on the lookout for new opportunities, even if it's an independent project. Yay, we got one! We got some stuff. Yeah, we did deep.
We want to thank you all for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for taking time out to
If you haven't found us, we're over here on the north D side, over here, right by the
Yeah, it's at 5:30, just right as you walk into D, a little to the right.
like one row in, you'll find this big food.
Because it's a food bagel. I'm hungry.
All right, guys, check out the website, come see us, and enjoy the rest of your day. I hope I'll do that next year. We'll see if you want to request me as an official guest. Do it, it might help. Awesome. Thank you.